Oh, the lag time.
I feel like we're live like right now. Yeah. Well, anyway, we are live
Are we?
now.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
All right. God, it's like it's if things really quieted down. I got like no engagement on the Discord or in Blue Sky when I posted these a minute ago. So
Basically there needs to be a podcast called the FPL Fates where people do a podcast where they just tell you the way it is and it's out of your control.
yeah, yeah,
Don't
exactly.
try.
Yeah, well, let's jump right into it because it's another
Okay.
interesting week. And hail cheaters! Welcome to the Always Cheating Podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm all right, Josh. It feels like this is sort of the beginning of the end, right? We've got a double coming up in game week 32. We've got to
Sure.
talk about Isak and Palace. But this is it. Like now it's just a cascading theory of chips.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? What do you
Yep.
have left?
Yep.
And this is the end game, right? We're in the final
So
phase of the Marvel FPL universe.
yeah, and so do you have like a planned out strategy for your own chips already? Like, do you know
Yeah, I've
where
been
you're going?
resisting the strategy for a long time, but I think it's all. Uh, I don't feel like my hand has been forced, but I feel like I've set myself up and I've waited for those fates to tell me what to do. So
Okay.
right now I'm looking at injuries to possibly Alenga. Got the
Mm-hmm.
Gabrielle injury as well. And this is important because there was part of me that thought maybe I could get away, I could bank enough transfers to get through blank game week 34 and
Right.
save my free hit for blank 37. With these injuries now, I understand I'm going to bank my transfers to optimize my team for a bench boost in 33. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at triple captain Isak in 32, bench boost in 33.
Assuming he's healthy, right? We still have
100%.
to.
So, yes,
Yep. Yep.
caveat to everybody listening. We're recording this Sunday night on the eve of Isak's quadruple haul against
Yep.
Leicester, which
Yep.
will buoy all of our decisions to triple captain him.
Absolutely.
So yeah, assuming that is all the case and he's fit and firing, it's triple cap Isak, it's bench boost in 33, free hit in 34, and I think that's all I have left. Then it's kind of a transfer my way through the blanks in
Yep.
37.
Yeah, which I think is very doable.
Hmm.
Obviously we don't know
Yeah.
exactly what they'll be yet, but yeah, I think it's I think that's very doable too. I mean, I'm basically there except without the bench like or the free hit in 34. That's the only thing that but I'm already, I've saved one transfer. I actually could save another transfer this week as well. So I could be in a position where I have three transfers. Unfortunately, at least one of them is going to have to get used on the Gabriel thing. Like his
Hmm.
injury is such a I mean,
He's out for the
I wish,
season.
yeah, exactly. Well, I wish him the best, but from a fantasy perspective, it is a nuisance
Thanks
to.
for nothing,
Yeah,
Gabrielle.
exactly. Yeah, and forgive by the way my hoarse voice. I had our school gala on
Mm.
Friday, Brandon, and
Hmm.
very loud. I did not grow up at a school that had a gala like an
Who
annual
did?
gala. This is not. I don't know. I don't know how new these things are. I'm trying to remember my mom getting dressed up for a gala when I was in third grade, and they did not happen.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
don't
there
want to
was
know what your mom was up to on those
exactly.
nights.
It's very loud music. It's like a dance party with drink. I mean, it's pretty fun actually, but I was yelling over speakers the whole night,
Okay.
and so I'm a little.
Did you ask
Um,
anyone to dance?
I should have, maybe if they put
Mm.
on that Tina Turner song, I want to dance with somebody. I would have done it.
Sure.
Maybe I just would have danced with my wife. I actually think we did dance either last year or the year before. I am
Okay.
not a stranger to dancing at the game. Oh, and you know where it was too, Brandon? It was at the picnic house in Prospect Park, which is like a very
Oh,
fancy,
yeah.
like,
Nice place.
space. Yeah, exactly. It's like lots
I've
of
always been
weddings
on the
there and stuff.
outside looking in of the picnic house and
S-
be like using the public
Yeah.
toilets at the picnic house.
Exactly. Yeah, the downstairs, in the
Sure.
tunnel below.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I miss, same here. So it was kind of fun to be with the hoi polloi up in the
Above the
yeah,
public toilets.
above. Yeah. I'm finally an upstairs. Um so we're 9/10 of the way through game week 31. Game week 32 was next weekend. We have one more match tomorrow. Pretty big match, I feel. Because a lot of wild carders, myself included, have 3 Newcastle players, right? So there's a lot to
Yep.
go. A lot of people captained Isak this week, so we'll, have to make sure that he's healthy. Did you end up captaining Isak or Salah?
I captained Isak,
Mhm.
and boy, do boy, it's great to feel optimistic,
Yep.
going into a Monday match. I love going into a Monday hoping for a positive
Mhm.
outcome as
Yep.
opposed to hoping that nothing happens. And
Mhm.
commiserations to the Salah captainers, and I feel like this is a theme coming out of
Yeah.
game week 31 is premium assets are duds right now. They're either injured or they're
Yeah.
not firing or they're benched in like Palmer's case. For me, the Newcastle thing really does come down to Josh Murphy because
Yeah.
the Anthony Gordon injury and coupled with the suspension was combined with the wild cards is everyone,
Yeah.
including yourself, went with Josh Murphy, who's had a great
Right.
season. And I just had this, for whatever reason, a fondness for Anthony Gordon. And I thought,
Mhm.
he's my ticket to ride.
Right.
So now Savino didn't play in my 31 squad. So I have either Gordon coming off of the bench
Yep.
or I have Howson with his 4-pointer for Bournemouth coming off the
Okay.
bench.
It's not bad.
I'll take the 4 points, no
Yep.
problem. The
I
worst
don't
case
think
scenario,
that I don't think that Gordon's gonna be ready, but, I feel like I saw that from the notes from how, but, we'll see.
the commentary going into the deadline, which is why I put Gordon on the bench, was he hadn't trained. And
Mhm.
everything we've seen of Anthony, I don't even know why we're talking about this because this will be old news by the time a lot of people
Sure.
listen to this. But
Yeah.
my
The
logic,
game's not till 3 p.m. tomorrow, it's,
my
yeah,
logic
8
going into the
PM England
deadline
time.
was it was Alenga versus Gordon, and I benched Alenga for his 11-pointer against United.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at Alenga again, and I'm like, well, I can't bench him. And then
Yep.
of course he shows up with a 1-pointer, and now he
Yeah,
might be
pulled at
injured.
halftime, yeah.
And I thought, listen, you can't just vibe Gordon into the starting 11 for Newcastle. The word
Yep.
on the street was he was touch and go, but he just hadn't trained. This was the biggest issue, is he hadn't trained with the first team. Now, Howe is like a known liar, doesn't
Mhm.
reveal anything.
Yeah,
Certainly, they're having
it can't
training
be.
sessions between Friday and the game
Yeah.
tomorrow. I would not be shocked if he starts. The likeliest thing is that he's on the bench, and
Right.
then who knows what happens.
Right. Right.
So I
So,
think that it's
yeah,
advantage Josh Murphy owners, I would say.
I think so, and then who do you have a 3rd, Newcastle player?
Nicholas Pope.
No, same here. Okay, so we have very similar teams except Murphy v. Pope. Although, the Salah blank was pretty big today. I mean, at least in just the one league that I pulled up here, the Always Cheating Patreon league on FPL Game Week, Salah was at like 148% EO, right? So that means
Hmm.
he was captained by roughly half the managers in our mini league. So if Isak goes off, it's really could really
Yeah.
make a big difference in terms of overall rank and things like that. So
Yeah.
and
I
mini
mean,
league,
we both have pretty average scores here, but are on green
yeah,
arrows. It's a very low scoring game week thus far.
yep.
And as you say, an Isak Hall is just catapulting everybody who put the armband on him.
Yeah,
So fingers
exactly.
crossed. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. I'm actually I'm +2 on my safety score already, right?
Nice.
So
Okay.
tiny green arrow. And yeah, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think so let's kind of run through the weekend a little bit.
Hmm.
Because obviously we've got the double in 32, so the upcoming game week, and that double is Palace and Newcastle. They both play twice. And I think we should walk through those options because not everybody wild carded. That everybody has 6 players from those 2 teams, and so I think it's useful to run through that. But let's kind of look at some match notes first. So the first question I have is whether it's still worth investing in Arsenal for the double. I think it's really a weird thing right now with them. The 1-1 draw, Saka's benched again. They've got the first leg of their Champions League quarter at midweek. Another match next weekend. I mean, I don't know. Like Liverpool did lose, so maybe they feel like the door is open a little bit, but then they drew again. So it's like, it's hard to say.
They just have so little gas in the tank, Arsenal do,
Yeah.
and with the Real Madrid tie surely taking precedence, I just can't imagine
Yeah.
imagine there's some like hope, like, hey, maybe if things fall our way, we can make a last minute run at the title. But I
Yeah.
just don't see that being something that FPL managers should be banking on. I do think that
No.
just the way Arteta has trained this squad for years now, uh, eh, despite various injuries and knocks to the defense, it just I a double up on the Arsenal defense still doesn't feel bad to me, especially if you look at their double in 33.
Yeah.
It's away Ipswich and home Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace in a great run of form, but still that's home at the Emirates for Arsenal. So I think that's a double clean sheet possibility, even
Yeah.
with the situation with Arsenal. As far as the attack is concerned, I mean, is your big takeaway from Everton? They're like, well, let's give Trossard a second chance. No, of course it's not. So
No, but
there are
I
no
think
attacking
I
options.
think the Saka thing is the tricky one, right?
Hmm.
Because no, it wasn't a shock necessarily for him to, come off the bench. You play 45 yesterday. I think that was honestly like probably like a 50% chance of that happening. But I do think that I just don't think we got any clarity, right? Like it's just not clear to me if he's going to play 90 at midweek and then 90 this weekend and then 90 in the second leg of the Champions League and then 90 and or whatever, right?
It
80
seems
84
unlikely,
plus minutes, right?
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably getting one start. I
Yeah.
think the odds say you're getting one start in the Arsenal double on 33.
Yeah.
So
By the way, is it not like I mean, so just like that makes me think about like just midfield options for 33. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we can talk
okay.
about this next week. But that just made me think about the 0-0 that Chelsea and Brentford played today, and Cole Palmer just like it is like an unusual dip in form at this point, right? Like
Hmm.
it is it is unlikely. Like it is I cannot remember a top fantasy player just completely losing their stuff like this. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, well, is the situation with Chelsea similar to Arsenal now, where they are really just going for a trophy in the Conference League, and
Right.
Palmer is like Maresca is still trying to manage his form slash confidence slash whatever's going on with him. I thought he looked
Yeah.
okay when he came in to
Yeah.
the match against whoever they were playing.
Brentford. Yeah. And
Brentford, right?
he did get an assist last week. So, I
Yeah.
guess I've got to give him a little credit
But
there. Yeah.
I'm not trying to push. I'm not pushing back too hard there. I just I don't want to read anything into the benching as far as
Yeah.
fantasy is concerned. I think he's good to go as far as FPL managers who own him currently are. As non-owners, Josh, I'd say we're breathing sighs of relief here, being like it's not a problem that we have to deal with at the
Yeah.
moment.
I know. Yeah. I mean, they play Ipswich in 32. So there's, it's an
It's
interesting.
why you hold on to him, I guess, at this point if you
I
own him.
guess I guess so. Yeah, exactly. God, I
The
could actually
fixtures are
believe.
pretty horrendous, I would say, for Chelsea for the remainder away at Craven Cottage. Everton and Liverpool, both teams that can defend their hearts out. Newcastle, Manchester United, that's definitely a toss up. And then Forest in
Sure.
game week 38.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty tricky. The next couple weeks are nice, like through the 34, I guess. Or Fulham is not like the worst fixture from an attacking perspective. Like
No,
they concede goals for sure.
sure, yes.
So do you, I mean, obviously you've been pretty like reluctant to say that they're mounting any kind of European challenge, but like did you feel like did anything push you over the edge today? Like them beating Liverpool, or was that more Liverpool being off? Like
It was
what's
a
your take
great
on that?
performance by Fulham,
Hmm.
and I'm a proud Fulham fan today.
Yep.
They're not going to be in the Champions League.
I don't
May
think Champions League either. Maybe Europe though. Europe is a possibility.
Yeah. Conference League, you can smell it in the air a little bit, but there's something about the Fulham Liverpool fixture where it always kind of it has delivered, even under Scott Parker.
Hmm.
Some very tight matches. I don't know what it is about the makeup of Fulham where they just kind of know how to at least I wouldn't call today's match against Liverpool tight, but
Hmm.
it's always competitive between them. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, that's how I used to feel about like Crystal Palace and Man City for
Yeah,
like
right.
whatever reason. It was like Crystal Palace always kind of put
The
together their best performances,
Andros
and
Townsend effect.
yeah, exactly. And it's probably just like like a sample size thing or whatever. But it's still it's kind of fun
Yeah.
like that. Those are fun narratives. All right, so speaking of Palace, they kind of offered a little bit of everything. I watched yesterday's match was kind of the one that I was fully watching, and it was
Hmm.
the pretty wild one, right? You had 3 red cards in the match, finished 10-9.
Yeah. Just
And
trying to prove that, hey, this is a derby. Let's
it
show
was,
you.
yeah, it was wild. I mean, Brighton, I mean, they really blew it. Like, there's, especially like getting the second, like getting a red on their own, right? I mean, you have to think if it was 11-9 for 10 more minutes or whatever, they would have found a way to
Yeah.
equalize.
They
Yeah, just,
just,
it was
yeah,
a wild one.
Brighton just very insipid for all intents and purposes. Like they should be in the position that Fulham are in or Bournemouth were in a couple of weeks ago. Like I guess I love the mid table of the Premier League this season, where it's
Hmm.
just a lot of the top of the mid table is what is typically the bottom of the mid table, where you've got like Fulham and Bournemouth and
Yeah,
Brighton have been doing
sure.
better than that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
I've got it pulled
I
up here. Yeah. It's a fun, I mean, Man United are 13th, right? They're below all of
yeah.
these.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I think it's sort of. I do think that Fulham, just looking at the table here. I mean, so Fulham are in 8th right now, and I think that there's a chance. I was listening to commentary during the Premier League match today. They were saying that like there's a chance that like England does get 5 Champions League spots next year.
Sure.
In which case,
It's
I
almost
think,
certain at this point, I think. It's not been
yeah,
fully announced, but it
yeah.
seems.
In which case, I believe there would probably be 2 FA Cup spots. It sort of depends on whether one of those or Europa
Europa
League
League,
spots.
yeah.
Depends on what happens in the FA Cup final, whether that goes back to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Right, like if Man City make the Champions League and they win, then
Yeah.
that would shift back to the Premier League. But then, yeah, like your European Conference League is kind of right there. But that'd be fun. I mean, when West Ham won that a couple years ago, I thought that was awesome. Like it
Yeah.
was, it's a cup.
It's
It's cool.
important for Fulham specifically. Marco Silva this season has been kind of on the bubble of every new manager conversation. Like he's
Hmm.
developed this reputation as Swiss Army
Hmm.
manager, where you're bringing in managers like Postecoglou and Amorim, who are like zealots for
Hmm.
particular styles of play, where Silva has suddenly become desirable because he's like, show me what players you have and I'll
Right.
figure it out.
Right.
But if Fulham make the Conference League, for example, that gives him a project, because I think
Yeah.
he needs a project to keep him at
Yeah.
Craven Cottage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, you just can't do much better, right? Like, and I mean, like, unless like the goal is to kind of, I
You
don't know,
just
like
have to
maybe
get
there's,
lucky and buy one special player who's going to take
mhm.
you to that next level if
Yeah,
you're in that
yeah,
position.
it's like you need a little bit of both, right? Like for a
Yeah.
club like that, it's like you need like some reclamation projects, right? Some Alex Iwobi types. You need a couple of special players, like who's the player they had last season that they sold? Who was awesome, midfielder. Name is escaping me right
Oh,
now.
Paulinho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paulinho, right?
Uh-huh.
You need like a couple of those, and then ideally a couple academy players, right? And
Uh-huh.
that's the magic
Sure.
combination.
Yep.
That's what honestly Brighton have been pretty good at that.
Yep.
And I
That's right.
guess actually the new like standard bearer for that is Aston Villa, right? Who are sort of
Mm-hmm.
Emmy Martinez is the reclamation project. Tons Morgan Rogers and so many others
Mm-hmm.
are the kind of, I think Morgan Rogers is an academy player. I'm pretty sure. And then they've been signing, spectacularly, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well, anyway, let's get back to FPL for a second here. So, just a couple other notes in the weekend: 4 goals in 3 matches for Evan Nilsson. I was just thinking as I was watching him that I think he could be a huge fantasy asset next season. Like, I think it's sort of, if it's already starting to kind of cast our minds ahead to fall 25. I feel like, assuming we don't have complete global economic collapse, Brandon. I'll be back playing fantasy. Well, we honestly, if there is or there isn't, as long as there's still an internet connection, Brandon, I'm gonna create that team, get
Mm-hmm.
out there. But I think that
I love that that's a question. Will there be an internet connection?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Like
Okay.
you can't say 100 at this point,
Yeah. Right.
but I think like 99. I'm feeling good about it. Feeling pretty solid. So I feel like I do think that Evan Nelson though is yeah, I've been really impressed with him this season, and he missed like I think it was 6 or 7 weeks with an injury, and so his kind of counting stats aren't as impressive, right?
Hmm.
Like he's not like at the top of the forward heaps or whatever. But like I just think he's really quite good. I don't know. Any Evan Nilsson thoughts?
I think he has the potential to be the new Ollie Watkins of the Premier League in that he will have a good run at the narrative of where is Evan Nielsen's ceiling. He
Mm,
fits really well in the Premier League. He's
yeah.
physical and athletic, and uh, movement is good.
Hmm.
But also, as we're seeing with Watkins right now, there will be a ceiling for a player like him. So I love Evan Nilsson. I want to go on the journey with him. Uh, and it's great. It's like going
Yeah.
to a movie that you heard is great, but also a short running time.
I mean, to me, I mean that's fine though too, right? Like
Sure.
I don't want him to go to Man City and replace Holland or whatever, right? But like it's fun to have. Right now, I mean, like Chris Wood is like 32, so it's who knows how much longer he can do it. But it does feel like there's like a nice, with Mateta as well, like a nice kind of pool of
Hmm.
20 something forwards. I feel like last season there was just nobody, right? I
Proper
felt
number
like there's
nines in a
yeah,
way, right?
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
we I feel like we've had a couple of seasons in the last 5 years where there's just like no quote
Yeah,
unquote
you
forwards.
had to kind of keep like buying Alexander Mitrovic because there was just nobody else, right? You
Hmm.
were just like, well, I
Hmm.
don't want to do this, but
Right.
yeah, exactly. João Pedro kind of fell into that when he was at Watford, and now a little bit again this
It's
season with
worse now,
Brighton.
Josh.
Yeah, it's even worse now. Exactly. Yeah, you mentioned Longa, Wood, Awadi, and Longa all potentially injured down for Forest. So unfortunately, it looks like it might be a battle for them to actually stay in those Champions League
No,
spots
they'll
now,
be
especially with
fine.
Newcastle
They'll stay
playing
there.
so well. Yeah. I mean, losing like those three though, that is a lot. I mean, Awani maybe less so, but Wood and Alonga are really crucial. So
I think the 5
um,
point cushion for them, and they can just defend their way to
yeah.
fifth place at the very
Yeah.
least.
It's kind of like Liverpool with the title chase, right? Uh, it's like, are
It's
the
too
wheels
late.
coming off a little bit? Yeah,
No, it's
exactly.
too
But
late.
they're just gonna run at a time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um,
Yeah, so Josh is hitting the cough button right now,
yeah, it
and
did. Yeah.
not the
Hmm.
panic button on
Nope.
Nottingham Forest
No,
at
absolutely
all.
not.
But
All
it's
right.
we're here to ask the real questions.
Exactly, exactly. Chelsea picked up their fourth clean sheet in five, although Cucurella was benched, so anybody who was
Just like
holding on to him.
comedy,
I
fantasy
know,
comedy right there.
I know.
Because I thought Cucurella he has looked amazing this latter half of the season,
He
and
has,
I
yeah.
was tempted myself, despite like not any upside with chip strategy for
Yep.
Chelsea and the managers who just went in got totally burned.
I know, and he did have a red card in the reverse fixture this fall, and so against Brentford. So I don't know, maybe that was a factor. I don't really know. I mean, there was some commentary because I was reading about, and I was like, well, what was the deal here? And there had been some commentary about like the kind of touchiness of the fall leg. So maybe there was like a kind of
Yeah.
we don't want this to start up again sort of
Okay.
thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe.
Protect
Yeah.
Cucurella. Put him in
Yeah,
bubble
exactly. At
wrap.
all costs. Exactly. And that beautiful hair, Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yeah, I feel like we kind of, I guess we touched on it briefly, but we did kind of bury the lead a little bit, which is back-to-back blanks for Mo Salah. And obviously, it doesn't mean anything in a larger sense, but it does sort of feed the idea that Liverpool are just, I don't know, maybe everybody is to a certain degree, but like Liverpool are just kind of like huffing and puffing their way across the finish line right now. It's like, I mean, thankfully they don't have any other commitments. It's just the Premier League. So it's almost impossible to imagine them blowing it at this point. But it does feel
Yeah.
like the gas is running out a little bit. That 1-0 squeaker over Everton at midweek and now losing at Fulham. So I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting. The two goals that he scored against Southampton in game week 28, both penalties. I y- you've got to go back a ways for him to have an open play goal, and I think that's the concern.
Hmm.
The last few weeks watching Mo is you're just like, where are the open play chances coming for him. And we this sort of like tension point happens with Salah. It feels like every season where you're like, cutting in on your left is not working anymore. What else are we gonna do? I
Yep.
will say, like, in fairness to Mo, he put Jota clean through. And you would expect Jota to finish that. That's an attacking return
Yeah.
from Mo. I think he still looks fine. I mean, just like
Yeah.
the
Still has
long view.
27 goals and 17 assists on the
He's
season. Yeah.
121 points beyond Mbomo. Shout out Mbomo, who's the second highest point scorer this season so far.
That's amazing.
Big one for the big man, but Salah's just still running away with it. So, I mean, could you see yourself? I mean, I think
No.
Could you see yourself going without Mo at any point for the remainder of the season, and why or why not?
I don't think so, and I think we sort of get at it with the Saka thing earlier, which is that like there are it's funny because it feels like we've maybe kind of solved our midfield problem, right? In terms of like or our forward problem. Like there's a lot of interesting forwards, a lot of options, but the midfield is now kind of the new issue where it's really hard to find a consistent, like Luis Diaz gets benched a lot. Bruno Fernandes is on a team that basically doesn't have anyone who can finish.
We're back to Morgan Rogers, Josh.
We are back to Morgan Rogers or Brian Mbomo, right? And both of them are great assets, but they're not kind of, consistent double.
Bankers.
I mean, I guess Mbomo's had some runs, but
these aren't guys that we've. I mean, did you captain Mbomo at any point this season?
I don't think so. No.
So that's the hurdle. I'm kind of rooting for Mo to leave the Premier League. Not because I want that for Liverpool fans, or it's been a good run for fantasy managers, but let's get a clean slate for captaincy options here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, unfortunately, Haaland will be probably back in form next year, and he'll just step back in. But I think we're ready for some. I mean, I don't know. I don't want him to leave. I don't think, just because I do love watching him play. But I take your point though, and you don't want him to like turn into Kevin De Bruyne, right? Like that's not a fun. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, like one of the most pleasurable players to watch, and now it's just the
wine's gone off. A fine wine that's gone off.
Tank is empty.
Yeah,
that should just be the theme of this week's pod. The tank is empty. My tank is empty. A lot of players' tanks are empty.
Let's go full EV on the Always Cheating podcast.
Yeah, you did a full drive from Michigan today. Your tank must be running low. We're
very low.
We got tank problems here. All right, well, let's get to the Man City. Man City's defense definitely looks better. 2 clean sheets and 2 now. Man United continue to look kind of toothless, and Bruno was actually I thought he looked pretty. I think you were probably driving during this, but I thought he looked pretty good. He's like, they just don't have anybody that can finish, right? There's just like it's like. Just all of these guys, there's just no one is really kind of instinctive. And I mean, like Luis Diaz scores the second goal in the Fulham match, and like that's like a brilliant instinctive forwards finish, right? It's like just pokes, like finds an inch of space and pokes in a goal. There's no one I mean at the moment who can do that, right? It's like they sort of, maybe that was Marcus Rashford before he fell off, but
they need Brennan Johnson. I thought Brennan Johnson's 2 finishes against Southampton were exactly like what you're saying with Luis Diaz. But this has been Bruno's issue. Like, Bruno would be in the conversation with, well, God, I don't want to say what I was about to say, but he'd be respected more than he is if he were surrounded by better finishers, for sure.
It must just drive Man United fans crazy. I mean, Xerxes and Højlund as your 2 forwards, and they're just, neither one is like, I mean, they're better than me.
Here's my prediction. Prediction. Højlund is going to go somewhere like, I don't know, Inter Milan or Mold. He'll go to Mold. No, Højlund will go off somewhere and be successful, and he will I mean, not like Ballon d'Or successful, but he will go consistently score goals for another club. I do think it's something to do with Manchester United.
I think he was doomed from the start. Like the second that Man City had a brilliant young player from Northern Europe named Haaland, And then Man United went out and found a player from Northern Europe named Hoyland. It was
Sure.
always going to invite some pretty rough comparisons. And
Yeah, when you have a registered trademark after your last name, it's the weight of expectations.
is that true?
No,
Is that
no,
no? Oh
no,
yeah,
no, no.
okay,
I
yeah.
could see Manchester United though doing that corporate as they
They
are.
would.
To be like,
They
oh, we're
totally
getting
would.
a slightly different spelling and we're trademarking it
Yeah,
because
your
we had
name
the
actually
idea first.
your name belongs to Man United now. I like that. It's
Yeah.
like what's that? Spirited Away. Like you sort of take their name.
Mhm.
But Man City up
There's almost
front,
certainly
it's
like a big blob in the basement of Old Trafford
there
that's
has to
just
be.
like
Yeah,
totally
exactly.
taking control of
Yes,
everything.
spirits that yeah, exactly. The spirit world
Hmm.
resides in northern England,
Hmm.
northwestern England. So up front, though, I mean, they had to pull Foden at 59 minutes, 59 toothless minutes. Marmoush didn't have an impact on the game. Just a real, just a weird. I mean, at this point, there's not a lot to say about Man City, right? It's just like it's they're just they ain't it, Like it's like there's just
Couple of
something
thoughts
missing.
though.
Yeah.
I do think Guardiola now playing center back is
Hmm.
interesting, and I wonder how much of the credit to 5 clean sheets in the last 10 for City is recently moving Guardiola to center back, and has that been good? And he looks quite comfortable
Yeah.
in that position. It's not great from a fantasy point of view in that he's not, going to be on the left making those runs into the box where you're going to expect goals from him. But still, like the bonus
Yes.
points in today's Manchester Derby shows that his great pass completion, and it's a good position for him still fantasy wise in a way.
Yeah.
So I like that for City. And Marmoush, yeah, didn't uh he- this guy though, the shots that he took, he's such an elite striker of the ball is my
Yeah.
feeling about
Yeah.
Marmoush. Which gives me hope that like just keeping Marmoush for the long run for the rest of the season with Holland out,
Yeah.
I have no
So
worries
yeah,
about holding him.
same here. I think it was my bigger takeaway was just Man United and them sort of just not being able to do anything with their chance. I don't know why I'm just entered some new phase. For many years, I thought it was kind of hilarious that they were
Mhm.
so like could not put the team together, And now like in recent years, I've suddenly become I'm like irritated by it. And like you have so much money, like you are like literally like you have the largest fan base in like global football, right? Outside of possibly
Talking about Manchester
like
United here.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
outside of possibly Real Madrid and Barcelona, right? Like you're an absolutely massive club, and yet you kind of it's just weird that like they're so like they run themselves like they're like kind of I don't know, like they're like the 10th place team in Europe,
No,
or
dude, they're
in
just
England.
high
It's
on their
yeah,
supply. They were so successful for so long, and then what
yeah,
happens is you just get a top-heavy organization with a lot of people who think they can't be beat. They get paid too much money,
right.
and they just lose sight of how the work
Wow.
gets done. And
Oh,
then,
this is your Elon Musk moment right here. You want to
well,
start Doge for
this is
Man
not
United.
no, this isn't like like
No,
I'm saying
I know.
something that isn't
I agree. I
obvious.
agree. I agree with what you're saying. I was just kidding. It's just funny that was sort of in the zone of
Well, the
that
zone,
framing.
I guess if you're Doge, that you're doing what that idiot owner of United is doing, you're firing all the lunch ladies instead
Right.
of
Yeah. Yeah, that's
addressing the
true.
billionaire
Yeah,
class in
exactly.
the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one thing to fire an executive. It's another thing to,
Yeah,
mess up Social Security or whatever. So,
totally.
all right. Well, anyway, let's take let's transition now. Look ahead to 32. I did want to say a quick thank you to everyone who supports the podcast. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/always cheating. And yeah, we got extra podcasts each week. They record them on Thursday evenings most of the time.
Hmm.
And we've got giveaway contest, the Discord, lots more. So I know we're kind of nearing the end of the season here, but if anybody wants to kick anything our way, that would be great. So you
It's
can
a
go to Patreon.
moment at the end of a concert, Josh, where the hat gets passed around.
Yeah,
Just like, hey, did
exactly.
you enjoy that
Yeah,
show?
yeah. One last chance.
We're not
Exactly.
making anything from Doors here.
Exactly. One last
Uh,
chance to give us money. And who wouldn't want to do that, right?
yeah, look at us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look at us. Like we clearly need it. We're no, I don't know. But no, if you just enjoy the podcast and
Jealous.
you want you want to support the cheaters or just say thank you, you can go to patreon.com/always cheating. All right, so that brings us to game week 32. And as we noted before, there's double game week. You have Newcastle that play twice, home to Man United, home to Palace. And then you have Palace, who have a slightly tricky double, away to Man City, away to Newcastle, but they're also the form team in the Premier League, right? So it's kind of an interesting clash that sets up. Like I don't think there's really any reason not to kind of go for it with three Palace players because I just feel. I mean, I think we saw it in yesterday's match, right? Munoz scored a goal, and even though they conceded, right, he ended up with 8 points, and Mateta scored, and as they had, I
Beautiful
think, two
goal from
assists.
Mateta.
Yeah, and Eze with a couple assists. Sarr was involved, didn't do anything, but he was involved. So, there's a lot of I think there's a lot to like in this team, and so I think I think in some ways I think it's pretty easy when it comes to Palace and who you would want to target if you didn't have three already. I think Bateta, Munoz, and then one of Eze or Sarr, depending on
Yep.
your budget, because Sarr is like a million more than Eze. So if that is a consideration,
Eze's more than Sarr, right?
yeah, Eze is more than Sarr. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah. So Eze is 6.8, Sarr is 5.7. But on the season, Sarr has 20 more points than Eze. Now, granted, Eze is always injured, but still, it's like I think that we've seen some great performances from Sarr even in recent weeks with Eze on the pitch.
I wonder if a helpful way to frame it for people listening is what's the priority? What's the threat level of Palace this game week? And if you aren't tripled up on Palace, is that a problem? And I would show you Exhibit A of I tend to agree Palace are the form team. However, in game week 30, they were
Mhm.
away to the now officially relegated Southampton and
Right.
could not pull a result together. And if you look at the double in 32, these are two away fixtures against some big clubs in City and
Right.
Newcastle. So if you're going to have to take a hit to go triple Palace,
Yeah.
if you don't have triple Newcastle, should you look to spend your
Well,
one free on Palace, that sort of a thing?
I do agree. I think that in some ways Palace are the easier team to target. Or that
Fade.
Newcastle either yeah exactly. But I mean the thing is they also double in 33, right? And so I
Sure,
think
that's a good
that's
point.
so you do get four fixtures, from them, and
Yeah.
whereas Newcastle only play twice in 32, and then 33 and 34. Although they do play in 34, which is useful if you like me have already played your free hit. It's
Mhm.
handy it's something to keep in mind, because a lot of the teams that double in 33 then don't play in 34,
Yeah.
most of them, in fact.
I think this is it for Palace. As good as they've been recently, get them and so I guess I'm kind of like answering my own question here after your answer of I'd say just go for it and triple up because four fixtures in 2 game weeks and then it's they have the blank and then it's Forest after that and I don't know Spurs Wolves in game weeks 36 and 37 is fine enough
Not
and then
bad. Yeah.
Liverpool I don't know. I do wonder. Palace hosting Liverpool of extremely beached Liverpool in game week 38. Uh, after they do like Liverpool have their homecoming game against
Right.
Wolves in game week 37.
It has strong 4-3 vibes, doesn't it? Like one way or
Yeah,
the other. It has like it's the kind of match where there's gonna be 3 goals before there's like
yeah,
20 minutes, played in the game.
yeah. But if you want to ride the Palace ride, you have to get on now. This is your only option.
Yeah, and I just think that I think there's a lot to like. I mean, I'd be honestly be kind of surprised if Mateta didn't get a goal in one of these two fixtures in 32, right? Either away to Newcastle or away to Man City. I mean, both
Hmm.
both teams have been they're not like like rock solid defensively.
Yeah.
Like they've both been better recently, but they're not like, they're not unimpregnable or whatever, right? Like
Yes.
you can score on both of these clubs.
Right, and
Um,
that's why you
yeah,
get Munoz, even though I don't think
exactly.
Palace keep a clean sheet in either of these matches as he's so attacking.
He's so
So that's
attacking,
why
exactly.
Munoz over Dean Henderson, who's been pretty
Yeah,
good too.
I know. Gahey being out is that is tricky. Is it like he is out, so the 16th. So that
Just
means
just
so
one
he's
match.
just the one match. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
He'll actually be back for the Newcastle match. So that's fine. I mean, I don't know. I guess it like probably makes it more likely that Man City score a couple goals on them, but again, you're getting you're getting Munoz for the like
Attacking returns,
slim
yeah.
chance of a
Yeah.
clean sheet,
Yeah.
right? And then it's for the attacking potential, and then it's also for the double in 33, which is a
Mhm.
better double. I think in 33 it's Palace host Bournemouth, and then they are it's a little bit better. They're away to
Arsenal.
Arsenal, but Arsenal are also Arsenal will have like logged a ton of
They'll be
matches
gassed.
by then. Yeah, they could be a little bit gassed by then.
No
So
gas in the tank.
exactly, the recurring theme of this week's podcast.
Yeah.
So what about Newcastle, though? I mean, I think Newcastle is a little bit trickier, right? Because I mean, obviously you have Isak, who is the sort of again, assuming he's healthy. Isak is the kind of one uh like the one option you have to have, and
Mhm.
he's I think far and away the best captain pick for this game week. I also think that he is a reasonable triple captain pick, again assuming he comes out of yesterday or tomorrow's match looking healthy.
Mhm.
But I think it's a little more wide open in terms of where you want to go beyond him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so I went Anthony Gordon, the strategy being, is he the forgotten man? If you were to look at the start of the season, assuming all
Hmm.
Newcastle players are healthy, you would say Isak is number one attacking player. Number
Yeah,
two, everyone would say Anthony Gordon.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm very curious to see what happens against Leicester on Monday, and if he's fit, I would point people to Anthony Gordon. Uh, Otherwise, uh, Josh Murphy, I think, just is sort of like the classic
yeah.
FPL pick in
Is
that
it
the
Jacob
stat.
Murphy? It's
Yeah,
Jacob Murphy.
Jacob
Yeah,
Murphy, yeah.
yeah.
Jacoby. And that's good. The defense I find so deeply uninspiring.
Hmm.
I wonder if there is something to be said for maybe Gordon, Murphy, Isak, assuming health for all of these guys is
Yeah.
like a way to like fully try to take advantage.
Yeah, again, I think it depends on your, how you're looking for 34. Because again, for me, I'm now free hitting in 34, and so Pope had extra appeal, right? Because he plays in 34, and that was just like and then kind of guarantee that I have a keeper
Hmm.
for that game week. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, the problem is they're just really banged up in the defense, right? There's not like one kind of like all like obviously Lewis Hall was that for a long time, and um but like it's just kind of hard to kind of trust anybody, right? Like Trippier's flagged, Livermento. I mean, I think Livermento is fine. Dan Burn is probably the safest defender pick you could make, just because he's so versatile, right? He can play as a 7 foot tall fullback, or he can play as a center back.
Yeah.
That's like honestly like my favorite Eddie Hall innovation was deciding that you could use him as a fullback. It's like it's got to be the tallest
We're
fullback like
so
in
all over the
Premier League
place with
history.
names. Eddie Hall, Josh Murphy.
What is up with us today? I know. Yeah, Lewis.
I
Yeah, Lewis Hall, and yes, and
and their manager
Dan Byrne.
Arsenio Hall,
Yeah,
wonderful manager.
Yeah, Dan Byrne is who I was talking about. I have no idea what name I was saying. Dan Byrne is the very tall center
Sure.
back slash fullback that is like the only guy who's played like every match.
I mean, Shar is right there. I think Shar
Yeah,
Shar
I think
has
it's just too
like
expensive.
a
Yeah,
Marcus Alonso sort of like screamer in him. And this is
yeah,
sort of it. You're just with the Newcastle defense, you're just trying to sort of like predict what is the very specific scenario in which I get an attacking return from one
right.
of these guys, and it
Yeah,
does kind of feel unlikely at this point.
I feel like reasonably good about their chance of a clean sheet in the Man United match. Newcastle Palace, I don't know, like who knows, but I think combined across the two of them, I think there's an okay chance that they get a clean sheet in one of those two. I don't think that's just they're quite good at home. I don't know. It seems like a reasonable possibility.
I guess the argument I'm making is sort of opening the Nick Pope door of there's no shame in just getting Pope, because what you're doing
Right.
in this situation is just playing the odds on just getting a cheeky clean sheet. And
Yeah, that's true.
and a
Maybe a pen
7, 8
save.
pointer,
Yep.
I guess, like one clean sheet, you're looking at maybe 8 or 9 as the floor for Pope.
Yeah.
That's tremendous in this week.
Yeah. And I think Bruno Guimaraes is also, like, if you just want to be a little different, I think he's fine. I mean, he's just, he's a pretty deep line player is the only problem there, right? So you're not getting an attacking asset. You're getting like a kind of, Rodri style, like, central midfielder that can score a little bit. So, so that's, so it makes him slightly less appealing just because you can get Jacob Murphy for $1 million cheaper, right? Which does seem more appealing.
Yeah.
So what other fixtures, stand out to you in 32? I mean, I guess the Chelsea Ipswich is kind of the big one, right? In terms of the kind of best single game week fixture, although they're just so unpredictable right now, right? It's really hard to know. I don't know. I mean, like, it's tricky with them.
I feel like Southampton Villa is the one that I'm thinking about the most, because Villa do double in game week 33. If you are already tripled on Newcastle and Crystal Palace, depending on how things go in the Champions League midweek with Villa, look at the rotation and the fitness and all of that. It's Southampton. They're down.
Right.
It's like, I don't even I don't think anybody's in charge over there at all.
Yep.
And Villa are like playing really well right now. So I feel like that to me more than an Ipswich. I mean, it's over for Ipswich probably.
Unfortunately,
what fight is left here for them?
Yesterday's match was their like the last. It was their Alamo.
That was
like
you don't deserve to stay up result.
I mean, I mean, they were up 1-0. They do that, because I was actually looking during the match. I was like, oh man, could they actually? Because if they pulled that off, it would be 6 points. With 7 matches to play, it was not impossible, but as it is, it flipped, right, and it became like almost locked in, the 3 teams that are going down, right? And didn't Southampton officially go down this weekend?
Yeah, they're done. They're mathematically eliminated. Wild. I'm just imagining like a bunch of Ipswich supporters rolling up in tractors, like in West London. It's like how epic. It's like a big old tractor parade rolling down.
That would be cool. Yeah,
it'd be very cool. Be like,
that would be cool.
The homecoming parade where I went to high school.
Yeah, it would be kind of awesome, actually.
So yeah, I guess I'm just kind of like trying to figure out what my prediction is for the Chelsea Ipswich match. And I mean, Chelsea are going to win. So is it more, which one is more predictable, Southampton Villa or Chelsea Ipswich?
Well, Southampton have shown an ability to score a little bit recently. It's kind of like a funny thing with them. Is they're still losing all these matches, but they have been getting goals in all of them. So I don't know. I guess I would say that Chelsea Ipswich is maybe a little. I don't know. Well, actually, even if Ipswich are kind of the same though. They, I mean, I would assume that Liam Delap is. Almost called him Rory Delap. That Liam Delap will be back next season.
For sure.
Somewhere in the Premier
sure.
League. Yeah.
Here's a hot take for you. I think that Liverpool are going to set West Ham on fire, burn them at the stake at Anfield. I think they will be. They've got no other competitions going on. Bless, and it's not going to sit well with them to those 3 goals in like 15 minutes at Craven Cottage.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very Liverpool going into game week 32.
Well, that makes me wonder about what are my potential transfers, because again, I need more players for 34. I could skip, like, when it comes to Gabriel, I could turn Gabriel into like Van Dijk even, right? And then they would be. I'd have them for West Ham, Leicester, and Spurs for the next 3.
I like it.
So that's
that.
interesting. Yeah, it could be a potential.
Connor
move.
Bradley is back. I think that's an interesting fantasy twist.
Almost scored today too.
I had the assist.
Rattled the crossbar.
So yeah, I think he's a cheeky punt for, and depending on how the minutes get managed for him down
Yeah.
the home stretch, but it's him or Kwanzaa.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
we know who wins there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what else stands out.
What about
Well,
Spurs? Do you Spurs going to take anything from their emphatic victory this
I
weekend?
don't know. And I guess we've got Cunha back now as well,
Cunha's
right?
back.
I don't know. I have just I kind of like to just stopped watching Spurs. They
Hmm.
have all these because they're always on Sundays, right? And so it's kind of funny
It's
actually because it's like there's a chance they might not play in Europe at all next season, right? Pretty good chance. And
uh, I'd say
yeah,
it's
oh, near
dead
certainty.
certainty.
Yeah. And I was like, are they still going to play on Sundays? Like just out of old time's
Sure.
sake?
Yeah.
Like that is
Yeah.
their spot. Like they're the
Hmm.
Sunday club. So they're
I
always the one of three matches on Sunday morning
It's just
here in
so
the US.
depressing. Solanke is just like, yeah, I'll go out and play. I'm not gonna score, but if you want me to play, I'll
I know.
play. Son is just kind of like out there in his little motorized wheelchair, and uh,
The strong vibes with the Postecoglou year one. It was like, well, they're conceding a lot of goals, but it's very cool and
they're
interesting.
all
And
gonna get
yeah,
buried in the Postecoglou pyramid at the end of the season. It's
yeah.
over.
Yeah, I know. But there are a lot of interesting pieces there.
Yes.
I think next season, this is the beauty of sports in general, right? Is like this all resets, right? It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Everything that happened before it doesn't matter. And I don't know if Ange sticks around or not. I assume he doesn't, but
He's definitely fired. Like as soon as the final
yeah,
whistle
you would,
blows,
you would,
like game
yeah,
30.
you'd think so. So I think the just from an entertainment standpoint, I do think that the Bournemouth Fulham match.
Yeah.
No, a little bit of fantasy relevance because I plan to start Semenya for this one, but I think that is a really cool and interesting match. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Bournemouth have been really good at home, but their form has dipped a little bit. Fulham obviously have been pretty strong all year, and obviously coming off the Liverpool win. So I think that could be a super fun and interesting match.
Couldn't
Put the
agree
kids to
more.
bed, Brandon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
This isn't your grandpa's Premier League. This is
no.
Bournemouth Fulham.
I know. Well, it's like you were saying before. How cool is that, though? How cool is it that Bournemouth Fulham is possibly the most interesting match, next
And
weekend?
perhaps one of the most important.
Yeah,
Bournemouth on 45 points, Fulham 48 in the table, and
yeah,
it's a real thing.
exactly.
They're fighting
Who
for.
is going to go to Slovenia next
Yeah,
year?
yeah,
It's yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It's
It
going to
will
be
be
like
decided.
the Nicholas Holt's character in Nosferatu. That's
Uh huh.
basically like the Premier League side that plays in the Europa Conference League is kind of like, yeah, you've got to go to some old castle in a
Hmm.
Eastern European country you've
I
never heard of
still
before.
I still haven't seen that. Yeah, well, I mean, I get what you're
Sure.
because it's just Dracula, but like I do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But is it worth seeing? I've heard it's very long.
It's not so much long as it just it runs out of gas, Josh. There's no gas in the tank by the
Wow.
time you get to like the
It's
75%
scary how many
marker.
things feed into this theme tonight. All right. Well, I am actually. I think we've done what we need to do for this week's
Sure.
pod, Brandon.
Totally.
We've looked at the game week 32. In terms of transfers, I might actually make that Liverpool move. I'm going to give it some thought, but I'm just going to
Okay.
wait until after the Champions League, see what we see, right? Because I'm just honestly not sure what I want to do yet, and I want
Yeah.
to give it another day or so to think it through.
Newcastle, they're what the team sheet looks like, their performance against Leicester, the fitness levels is so crucial. So yeah,
Yeah.
everyone keep your eyes
Yep.
on that. Uh, but assuming everything goes to plan, we're both triple captain in 32, I think.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's a weird one because I don't feel like insanely jazzed about it,
Yeah.
just maybe because of the injury doubt. But yeah, I think it's like sensibly, it probably is the best move. I really don't want to triple captain somebody in like 37 when like so many teams are just like on the beach and it's
Hmm.
pretty, like, yeah, that feels more dangerous to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think pulling the trigger now makes sense.
All right, I got a question for you.
All
We
right,
gotta
let's hear
we
it.
gotta fill some time here. Who has that dog in him in
Ooh,
game
bringing it
week
back.
in game week 31?
Bringing it
You look
back.
down all these fixtures, could
Mhm.
be anyone, anywhere, and to define this, You
Yeah.
think, who's the player who's just got that grit, that determination, is just going
Yeah.
to make it happen?
Okay. I will go with Ismail Assar. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit because he
I
plays
like it.
twice, but
Okay.
he's just the kind of player that like it does seem like he kind of raises his level when he's playing really good clubs.
Yeah.
He's just so talented, and I think he gets some kind of return in 32. I feel pretty good about that. So
Yeah.
and I just like watching him play a lot too. He's like one of those people. It's fun to have in your fantasy team because I think his game is awesome, and I
Yeah.
really enjoy watching him play.
I am going to go Diogo Jota because, I've made this
Ooh,
prediction with Liverpool torching West Ham,
yeah,
and I think he'll be smarting, missing that opportunity that Salah fed him against Fulham. Does Jota even start against West Ham? I
that's
wonder
the
what
problem.
Gakpo
Yeah,
has to say about that. But I'm still going Jota for X Dog because I think even if Jota comes on at the 78th minute, he's still going to get a return.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
that is very bold.
Bank it.
78th minute sub appearance and attacking return.
And a hat
That's
trick,
amazing. Hat
all
trick.
with his head, all
All right.
three.
Well, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much for listening. I know this was kind of an unusual pod. It's an unusual weekend, I think, for both of us. So,
Mm,
but the show must go on, Brandon, as ever.
indeed.
So, thank you to everybody for listening. Brendan, do you want to thank our producer patrons?
Big thanks to our producers. This is the top tier of our
Hmm.
Patreon supporters. And if you want to
Absolutely.
support, say thanks and get more FPL content, go to patreon.com/alwayscheating. Thank you to producers Mike DePietro, Trevor Ingerson, Dave Wegner, Lodall, our buddy Chris Howell, Andy Penn, Nick Wright, Lazarus Llanos, Jesse Halstead, Brian Chin, Babas Kuhn, Blair Jacobson, Todd Byerly, Andy Portlock, Dan Parsons, Terrence O'Donnell, Kerry Swanson, Jefferson Turner as he does it, Francis Moore, Sam Shower, Craig Jackson, Caleb Robbie, Brian Clark, Thomas Tislov, Fred Jacobson, Gareth H. Shalom, F. Kadakia, Rishi Nigam, Noah and Louise, Travis Grant, Linus Vennerstrom, Matthew Skinner, Ben Coombs, Eric Kite, Rune Sandberg, the three Jims, James Murray Wood, James C., and James Holland, Scully Craig at Total Maths Tutoring, and Francis Mann. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Follow us wherever you get social media. Our website is alwayscheating.com.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
And that's a wrap.
All right. Yeah, I really feel like I'm gonna fall asleep at like 9:30
Yeah, you're
tonight.
like, I'm done.
I felt